So on the morning of August 24, 2017, I arrived at the spot where I parked my truck about 2:30 a.m. I was pretty excited, hopped out of the truck and threw the last little bit of gear in my pack. And I remember that morning seeing the bear spray in the back seat of my truck. And I was like, what's the chance of me seeing a bear? I ended up just tossing it in my backpack, and I was just way too excited to get on the trail. So I loaded up, and there's a couple deep drainages there, and I going down the one, come up, and I noticed some sheep. Well, started watching them. So that runs by, and then I'm reaching in my backpack to grab my bear spray. As I was doing that, I heard a branch break over my right shoulder, and I turned and looked, and there was Mama, less than an arm's reach away. Her right paw was stretched forward, stretching out. You can see the whites of her eyes, mouth slightly open. I didn't really have much time to react. The only thing I thought of doing was, well, what I did was grab the frame of my bicycle and just step aside and drop the bike in front of her. Her head went through the frame of the bike, and she had it on like a necklace. And when she turned and looked at me, I started smashing her in the face with my backpack and beating her over the head. And she managed to pinch my right hand against the frame of the backpack. I got it away, and then I started really going hard, hitting her on the head and smashing her in the face. Kind of turned and started backing away, and I started backing up, and I was trying to get my bear spray out of my backpack and or my gun off. As I was doing that, I noticed she had turned around, and she come charging in again. I threw my pack at her. I decided to run up the mountainside, and jump off the hill and into a tree. And so I ran about 60 or so feet, jumped off into a spruce tree. And I remember, jumped in, I was trying to pull myself up, and I can hear her just huffing and grunting as she's running behind me. And I was in the spruce tree, and I'm trying to pull my right leg was hanging low, and I was trying to pull it up. And as I was pulling it up, she stood on her hind legs and wrapped her paws around my right knee and just guided it in and guided towards her mouth. And I just remember looking down and seeing her basically, wrap her teeth around my knee, and I was thinking, this is gonna hurt. She grabbed my leg, and much to my surprise, it didn't really hurt at first. She crunched down and me out of the tree. I hit the ground quite hard, and it was a spruce tree I was in, so I crawled underneath it and wrapped my arms and legs around the base of the tree, and she started digging at me with her paws and wasn't really getting anywhere. The spruce boughs were protecting me, and then she reached into the mouth, grabbed me on the left side in the love handle area, just grabbed, took a big chunk, lifted me up, threw me about 6 feet. I hit the ground quite hard, and I was out of, trying to catch my breath. And before I could take a breath, she was on top of me just instantly.
Yeah, they're so fast, right? I mean,
so fast, so powerful. Speed. And then her first bite, this is just a black bear skull, but her first.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Her first bite caught me on the left side of the corner of the eye where it meets the nose, kind of in my tear duct area. She grabbed right there and crushed the whole left side of my face, just kind of removing everything.
Oh, that's crazy.
And at that moment, I'm just sitting there thinking, well, this sucks. Like, screw this playing dead. I mean, sucks when something's chewing on you.
So initially you tried to play dead, and obviously that she didn't care. She just continued,
It's really hard to play dead when something's chewing you on you. I mean, she took that one bite, and I was like, screw this. So I rolled over and started punching her in the face with my right arm, poking her in the nose, poking her eyeball, grabbing her ear. She was snapping at my hand. And she come down and bite me in the face the second time. As she was coming down, her mouth was just wide open. It was kind of in a perfect spot, and I punched my left hand into her mouth, and I remember feeling her tongue, sliding my fingers down her tongue. You can feel all the little scars and the bumps, and it turns like soft leather in the back. Shoved my middle finger and index finger down her throat and wrapped the rest of my hand around her tongue. And when I was doing that, she started to gag and started to make a weird sound, like kind of like a pig squeal. Her back legs were digging into the right side of me, her claws digging in. That was really hurting, so I was trying to push her off. Pushing on her hind end, kept pushing, and my hand slipped off the hindquarters, and I hit the belly, and you could tell it was the belly. There was less hair and more skin, and I reached up and grabbed a nice fleshy part I thought was balls at the time, twisted and pulled. And she made a horrible sound like a pig squeal, just started squealing like a pig, real deep sound, deep squeal of a pig. and my hands in her mouth. And whenever I was basically trying to pull off, and she was just gagging and squealing. And I figured she had enough, and I let go. And she ran back the way she came, just defecating across the mountainside. Then I got up and dusted myself off, walked over to my pack, pulled out my phone, and then I took a picture to see what I looked like. I was just wondering, what happened. And that picture is actually in the book. You can see where I'm missing the large majority of my face. So I'm sitting there looking at the picture going, well, it's not too bad. I can still go over there and shoot that sheep, or I can go look for this bear. It's kind of one or the other. And
that's crazy.
It's just crazy how you still want to hunt. I always found that
that's great. I love it.
Your persistence for hunting is just incredible.
Yeah, I was a little bit of shock. I was just so upset. Like, this is my time to go hunt, to go get my sheep. He's there, and I was just so upset about it. I'm sitting there thinking, well, this sucks. Now I got to go home and get all this fixed up, and there goes my sheep hunt for this weekend. And and I'm sitting there and unloading my pack, got my gun off, and leaned against an old stump, rotten log, and I had the gun against my left shoulder, and then I had the clip in my hand, and I was loading up, trying to put rounds in the clip, kind of thinking, what do you do? As I was loading up the clip, I heard a sound of ice breaking, and my arms went numb and everything dropped. She had come back and grabbed me by the back of the head.
Oh, damn.
And then she started dragging me in. And I just remember seeing her paws on either side of me, digging in the dirt, and she just heaving and just dragging me by the back of the head.
Unbelievable.
I don't recall how far she dragged me. It felt like a long ways. I don't think it was too far, but when we stopped, I was sitting on my butt, kind of hunched over, leaning against what I presume was her. She reached over with one of her paws, caught me on the lower left side of the face, kind of the corner of the mouth and corner of the nose, and she peeled all the skin off of the right side of my face, removing everything on the side of my head all the way to the back.
Wow.
And then she started
one go
with one
just
go,
one pull,
she
just gone.
Just pull your flesh. My goodness.
And that's a testament of how powerful they are. I mean, and this wasn't a very big bear, right? It was.
Yeah. How heavy was this?
An average size sow grizzly bear, so about 300 pounds. So take about a 45-gallon drum with 3 feet of legs on it. So not overly huge, but decent size.
You can't lift that up when it's on you, really.
No.
No matter how strong you are, you will not get that.
No.
Except if you're Jeremy, you did it.
Yeah, except you're Jeremy. Oh my goodness.
So and then she was chewing on the side of my head, and you just hear her crunching away like a dog, just gnawing on the corner of my head, and was pulling at my left side and neck all the way down my collarbone, just crunching away. And this went on for probably 5-6 seconds of her just chewing and just ripping with her claws. She fully descalped me, so she took all the skin off my head from the base of my neck, peeled it all off and forward down, pulling my jaw, the left side of my jaw off. It was just all hanging there. All my teeth and all the skin was exposed. Like, everything just was hanging down or gone. My left eye was hanging out of the socket with a piece of the skull with my eye socket just kind of hanging there. In order to look up, I'd had to pick it up and hold it in place or tilt my head back. My right eye was smashed into my skull. I didn't think I had a right eye at this point. After she took another good swipe, she moved and I fell back, and I was laying against the ground. I could tell I fell back and hit the ground, and I could just kind of make out an outline of something above me. Like, I knew she was there. I could feel like her hair in my face, and I reached up and found a nice fleshy part. Again, grabbed with both hands, just twisted and pulled. And then I wrapped my legs around her neck and just hung on for dear life. And whatever I had, I was trying to rip off. She started to buck around like a bronco and make horrible sounds, squealing like a pig. And I just, like, whatever I had, I was trying to rip off. And I could tell she was moving quite fast and frantically in one direction. Just, feel the ground, my back brush against the ground. And I figured, well, I let go, and she ran down the mountainside, just squealing like a pig down the way I came up. And at this point in time, I couldn't see. Like I said, everything was so blurry. My right eye, I didn't think it was there. All the skin off my head was peeled off. I couldn't stand up. All the ligaments were severed in in my right knee from round 2 there, and I was in quite a bit of pain. I ended up crawling down the hillside. Like, I knew relatively where I was on the hill, and I crawled down, and I found the trail right away, and I crawled down the trail and managed to find my pack, and I found my gun right away, and I tried to put a shell into the chamber, but my fingers were going all different directions, and I couldn't see, didn't have enough dexterity in my hands to be able to put a shell into the chamber, and I started to panic. I needed the clip. So I was searching around for the clip. And I was looking around the clip. The first thing I found was my mustache and goatee. And I found a chunk of my face, and then an ear.
Wow.
And then I found the clip, slammed it in the gun, and the first dark thing got 3 rounds. And then I'm sitting there, I got all these pieces of my face in my hand, and I'm just like, what do I do? Like, I know I'm at this point in time, I'm not going to make it out of there. I mean, who's going to survive that? And like, everything off my face was removed, my jaw hanging down. There's blood coming from everywhere. So yeah, at this point in time, I just trying to debate what I should do. I knew I was going to die out there. Just, do I end it myself or just see what happens? So it was one of the decisions I regret. I loaded up my rifle and stuck the butt of the gun against the ground between my legs and put the barrel underneath my chin, and I pulled the trigger, and expected the gun to go off, but it just clicked. And dazed, kind of wondering what the heck happened, and I reached down and cycled the gun again, and the gun went off, and it sent a bullet just inches from the side of my head. And I was like, holy crap, like, what was I thinking? I at least owed it to my family, my wife and daughter, to at least try to make it somewhere they're going to find the body.